Hey babe, how are you doing? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Week 10 of The Artist Way, crushing through it. This was a good week. We're gonna get into why, but this week had, I don't want to say a lot of good revelations or paradigm shifts, but at least one very good one that I'll get into. This week is about recovering a sense of self-protection. And some of the highlights are talking about how God is the energy. God is the fuel of creativity, which I really, really fuck with. I fuck with that. I want to read the first paragraph, which is just such a good one. Creativity is God energy flowing through us, shaped by us, like light flowing through a crystal prism. When we are clear about who we are and what we are doing, the energy flows freely and we experience no strain. When we resist what that energy might show us or where it might take us, we often experience a shaky, out of control feeling. We want to shut down and regain our sense of control. We slam on the psychic brakes. And this is something that I know we talked about a little last week with the creative U-turns, that idea of self-sabotage, but it's kind of digging deeper into how are we blocking ourselves. Like, we have the block of doing a U-turn creatively, but there are decisions sometimes that we make where we might not knowingly make a decision and think, oh, I'm gonna block myself, but that is essentially what we're doing, whether it's conscious or not. And Miss Julia, she calls my ass out early into this chapter because she literally says, I will continue. Every creative person has a myriad of ways to block creativity. Each of us favors one or two particularly toxic to us because they block us so effectively. For some people, food is a creativity issue. Eating sugar or fats or certain carbohydrates may leave them feeling dulled, hungover, unable to focus, blurry. They use food to block energy and change. As the shaky feeling comes over them that they are going too fast and God knows where, that they are about to fly apart, these people reach for food, a big bowl of ice cream, an evening junk food, and their system clogs. Oh, okay. So I've been attacked. Yeah, that really resonated with me because, you know, I have a very powerful story in my life, a life story of losing 200 pounds. And something that I've been reflecting on is over for the past 4 years or so, I've slowly gained about 50 pounds. And it isn't so much about the weight. It isn't the number on the scale. It's more so what I'm aware I don't want to say the real problem is, but I'm aware that my habits have changed and I've been slowly using food to recope with certain feelings. And what this chapter really taught me is that I'm using food overeating as a distraction to avoid doing the real work, which is, I know I need to tell my story. This has been a really transformative week in terms of me recognizing that I need to tell my story and connect with people who might be going through something similar and offer my perspective on weight loss And it's something that I've been avoiding because I felt a bit of imposter syndrome. I felt a lot of doubts, blah, 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 all these things that I'm blocking myself from expressing. But I realized, since losing my job at the end of December, or beginning of December, actually, last year, at the end of last year. And then now I'm in this space where I get to create and I get to try some new things. And I have been dragging my fucking feet, dude. I've been dragging my feet, and it's not like I haven't made progress, because I have made progress, but not on the things that I know I need to move forward more in, which is creating videos. I know this with every ounce of my being. I know I need to create more videos and create more that can be seen and shared. And I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes work. I've been like, oh, well, I need to strategize. Oh, well, I need to create my website. It's like, girl, no one's gonna go to the fucking website unless you create some shit and you tell your story. And I noticed I would snack, and I'm like, oh, let me get a little snack. Oh, I just sat down to get some work done. No, all of a sudden I feel like I'm feeling a little peckish, And when reading about using food as a block, I think something just snapped in me. I was like, whoa, that's exactly what I've been doing. That's exactly what I've been doing, because my life has changed in so many beautiful, lovely ways, and yet it stayed the same in a lot of ways. And when I think about the next stage of my life, where I want to go, and not even where I want to go as in the end result, but the energy that I want to embody in this next chapter, it includes being very mindful about my relationship with food and inspiring other people to do the same. And I don't want it to be like, I don't want to, sometimes what's hindered me in the past from expressing this is feeling like imposter syndrome, like I said, and feeling like I need to have it perfected and figured out before I can share my story. And I'm definitely not at that place. I don't think I'm ever going to be at that place, because we're constantly growing and evolving and changing. And I just want to share this revelation of using food as a blocker and a crutch, and in turn overcome that for me personally, internally. And so this week I've been doing intermittent fasting, which I don't normally do. There's a part of me that feels like the sensation of fasting, I could feel like my body longing for it. And then simultaneously, I feel fear. I feel fear that I'm succumbing to a diet trend, a diet trope that isn't sustainable. And just one day I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait and see how long I can fast. And I've been playing around with an app. I don't want to talk about it yet because I don't know if it has my stamp of approval, frankly. But I've been playing around with an app that lets you track your food, and it uses AI to track your food and track your fasting as well. And just as a challenge to myself and out of genuine curiosity, I've been like, okay, let me see how this happens. And I also recognized within me that I do want to go through another round of weight loss. I don't feel like I'm physically embodying what I know to be true in my spirit and my soul. And I mean, not to belabor this, but I had a very powerful meditation last week that I'll keep private, that really reminded me of who I truly am. Who I truly am in my spirit, and it makes me cry thinking about it. It makes me cry just thinking about that meditation, because I forgot. I like forgot who I truly am. And it was like I had a meditative experience that reminded me of a meditation I did when I was about 19 years old. And I totally forgot about it. And remembering it reminded me that I know who I am. And hearing about using food as a block, I already decided before reading this chapter, I am going to do whatever I need to do, take the steps every day to open myself up as that channel, as that conduit, like she expressed in the first sentence, allowing that energy to flow through me. And I can't do that if I'm using food as a crutch. So, I don't know if my mascara is everywhere. Doesn't matter. So I've been monitoring my food. I'm on another round of weight loss, and it feels really good because I just really want to tap back into myself. It isn't so much about an end result, though I know that the number on the scale will change. I know that. But it's mostly about me tapping into who I truly am, expressing that, and living that, embodying that. And I think the external will reflect the internal. And it just starts with me saying, okay, am I really freaking hungry right now, girl? Or am I distracting myself? And that was really powerful for me. Really powerful for me. I think what's interesting as well is that she talks about how when we block ourselves, it's actually a faith issue. We are not trusting God, the divine, whatever universal orders that be that are flowing through our lives. When we are blocking ourselves, we are not trusting ourselves. And I feel that because I feel like in the past, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a singer. And I was a blocked creative, a blocked artist growing up, literally, until I'm taking these steps here and now, babe. Till last year when I opened up this book, I have been a blocked creative. And I would doubt like the truth that I knew in my soul and my spirit about who I am and what I want and the things that I want to bring into the world. I would doubt my deserving of them. I would doubt the result of them. I questioned faith in God and me because I was like, well, in order, when I wanted to be a singer, in order for me to be a singer, I have to be skinny because, babe, there were no plus size artists growing up when I was growing up and I was a kid. There was no one there that could champion. Well, actually, I should rephrase because there was no one who is my age. Like the only plus size women who existed in media were like Queen Latifah. You had like Rosie O'Donnell. You had, like I think about Mama Cass. Like there are some plus size icons that existed, but it wasn't in the day to day. I had to collect them. And Queen Latifah was a big one. She was a big one for me where I was just like, wow. Like, yes, like, anyways, so I'm going down a tangent. I didn't have that icon, I didn't have that mentorship, and I blocked myself and I prevented myself from experiencing and going down the path of what I wanted to experience because I literally thought I couldn't. I thought I wasn't deserving. I thought, I'd never get there if I didn't control my weight. And I ironically used food to block myself further and to be more unhappy and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm really right now focused on sitting in my faith. I feel it so potently right now in a way that I don't think I've ever felt before. And I've never been more unsure of the future. Frankly, like, I'm unemployed. There's a lot of things that are, I don't know, in the air. It's like a new transition, and yet I feel so much faith, and I want to honor that faith. Like, I want to honor that essence within me and move forward in faith. And that includes cleaning up my blockage with food. And she even says herself, really, that when you become aware of your blocking devices, they become less powerful. The cure is awareness. That's literally it. Because sometimes when you're aware and you're like, hey, I'm gonna grab a snack, and then you're like, I'm blocking myself right now. All of a sudden that snack, it doesn't hit as hard. Like, it doesn't hit as hard. So I've been using that energy. It's been really awesome. She touches on some things in this chapter like workaholism, and there are times I can relate to workaholism from a different period of life where I was getting very swept up in my job, my prior job, working long hours, not giving myself enough time to creatively express. And then I had my major crash out. I can definitely relate to it from that energy, but as I stand right now, I was like, ooh, I can't relate, queen. And what a great feeling. Like, the memory is so distant and foggy right now of me feeling very overworked and me not feeling like I was moving forward, and not even in my passions. I was using work as a distraction away from doing what I know I need to do. And it felt actually really nice to read about her talking about this and to say, can't relate, babe. What a great feeling. She also talks about large periods of drought where you maybe don't feel uninspired. You feel like you are walking through the desert. You feel like inspiration isn't coming, and you are just like, where is the light? And it actually reminds me literally about Jesus going into the desert. Was it like 40 days, 40 nights in the desert, and experiencing that drought? And she says that they're important when you experience them, because when you go through that period, they're going to bring you clarity and charity, which is interesting. When you are in a drought, know that it is to a purpose, and keep writing the morning pages. I think a lot of people, when they talk about how they, just before they have a very big breakthrough, they'll say, I lost it all. I know that's like one of the tropes to financial abundance. People are like, I literally had zero money to my name and then millions overnight, or whatever that story is. And I feel like there are a lot of circumstances of this concept of a drought. It makes me nervous. It makes me nervous because I feel like maybe there's a drought coming for me. Maybe one day it'll happen. And reading this ahead of time and knowing that the answer is to just keep showing up, to keep doing your morning pages, to keep focusing on the process. And even if the process isn't fulfilling at the time, sometimes she explains, like, during a drought, you can feel uninspired, but to still go through the motions and to still commit to the creative process, eventually it will lead you to greener pastures. It'll lead you to where you are meant to go next. And so I feel at least some solace in knowing I have a game plan for when that happens. If it happens, I don't want to put that energy out there, but who knows? and just to keep showing up, building the habit of the morning pages, continuing to honor my inner artist. Maybe at that time I'll pick this back up again, Lord knows. The last couple of things she talks about in this chapter are fame. She explains fame as a spiritual drug. It's when you become more concerned with the approval and validation of others than you are in the fulfillment of what you're looking to express. And she has a suggestion in here to send yourself postcards of affirmation, like, I'm so proud of you, whatever. And it actually reminds me of, I have another TikTok account called Not for Picky Eaters that does better than my personal account. And it's been really fun to like build community and check people out there. But every time I post something on my Not for Picky Eaters account, I'll go into my personal account and I'll like it, I'll repost it, I'll add it to my favorites. And then when I log in to Not for Picky Eaters or I switch accounts, I'm like, oh, someone already saw this. I have a little heart notification and then I open it and it's me. But I forget every time. That like I liked it and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, wow, how exciting. And then it's so cool that it's from me. Like, obviously it's a cool feeling, not seeking like the validation of others, not focused on that aspect. Cause I know that can be very addicting, especially in social media when you're like, wow, I'm getting so many likes. But just being focused on like me being my number one fucking fan, like it's so cool. It's really cool. And I always love that experience because I just feel like I'm writing a fan letter to myself. And I'm like, yes, queen, you're amazing. Love you. And in the same tandem as that, she also touches into, let me reorient my feet. She touches on competition and the essence of competition. And this actually brought up a lot of interesting concepts because when we're focused on fame, i.e. focused on the approval more than the process, we know that there are going to be people who critique. When you're in like the public eye or in a public space or opening yourself up for all kinds of feedback, positive and negative, that's when I think also the idea of fame is even more, it's like a spiritual drug, but it also is very like hurtful to the experience because you end up opening yourself up to a lot of critique and feedback. And that underscores the reason for me why it's so important to focus on the joy in the process. Because, and this is my favorite sentence she says, she says, let us concern ourselves first and foremost with what is within us that is struggling to be born. Like when I ask myself, like, let me bring it back to the feedback from yoga that I got a few weeks ago that I mentioned. For me, I hear I'm getting feedback. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but how authentic was I to expressing what I'm seeking to express? That is my barometer. That's what I'm interested in tweaking, fine tuning, finessing. Maybe the end result, I know the end result is going to have effect on people. Maybe not everyone, but I know that what I have to share in my heart of hearts is going to touch someone because it's the same essence that exists within someone else. We're all the same. And that is what kind of brings it back to this essence of competition as well, because when we approach others and we say, or we approach others with animosity, jealousy, envy, and we are like, this person did something and I should have done it, or that was mine, or blah, 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 blah. Like we are denying ourselves because everyone is the same. That piece of them that tapped into the inner creator is that same divine spark within you that connects to your inner creator. And so when we shun someone else's work, when we critique and scold or feel jealousy for someone, a competition for someone else's work, we are rejecting ourselves. Like, we are denying the greater message of ourselves. And it also makes me reflective of the fact/concept that there is no originality. Like, and I don't mean that as in, your expression can't be true and authentic to you, because that in itself is originality. But when I think about, this is the message of the universe that we are channeling and processing and expressing, like, there is no originality in that, because our ideas, they don't come from us, they come from the source that which we channel everything. So there is no originality in that regard. So it's ironic to sit and compete with someone for originality when that doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't really exist. But of course it exists in the authentic process of you sharing that from your lens, right? Like, my experience is unique to me, and the message that I transmit and download and the way that I express it that is unique to my experience as Cassandra Appleby is the originality, right? Not the original concept itself. I'm not going to belabor that because I think I communicated that fine. But it's interesting too, because I've been doing a lot of research lately in, going down, what is it going to take to be a full-time content creator, to build a business, in me sharing what I want to share. And a lot of it is a lot of strategy. It's a lot of mind work, and I'm feeling a pull. Like, I'm feeling a bit of a pull in doing this strategic analysis, because as we know in earlier chapters, Miss Julia expresses too much mind activity as the killer to the killer to creativity. And there's in the lens of being a content creator, there's a lot of conceptualization around, doing quote unquote competitive analysis, looking at who else is in your field, what headlines do they use, what are their thumbnails, what is everyone else doing. And I've been absorbing this information and metabolizing it, and I don't know, I haven't really come up with the answer yet, but I'm feeling a bit of a push and a pull, because I understand, like, the strategy perspective obviously will have its merits, and I know a lot of people are looking to replace their 9-to-5 with being a content creator. But I ask myself, am I just looking for another job? Like, am I just looking for another job and to make this content creation process another job where I would be like competitive analysis, spreadsheets, presentations? Like, sure, some people want that. I think that's genuinely some people's avenue of creativity. Like, some people are so unbelievably awesome at that. And when I was in the position of project management and marketing management, like, that was my job, how can I find the creativity and joy and the fun in the process of a lot of this strategic initiative. And when it comes to, like, me creating videos and content, I realize I don't want this to be like another job. I think, of course, there need to be systems and borders and protocols, which is why I'm absorbing the information and asking myself, okay, like how can I streamline, make a system of scalability off of my creativity? Like that's really what I'm interested is. It's like a message first approach versus like a content strategy first approach. And that taps into in prior chapters where I was talking about how marketing is the final step. It is not where you start. When you start with what's the title going to be? Like, and I'm not saying that that is a bad thing. And I'm not saying probably one day I'm going to get there where I'm like, man, I just really want to get more efficient with my titling and blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes when you know the title of what you want to create content about, it kind of helps guide and inform the content. But I mostly, firstly and foremost, want the creative process to be the pinnacle, the peak of what inspires the creation. And that doesn't mean I can't have systems of scalability based off that. I can't be organized, detail oriented, all of these things that are, mind activity, but I guess it's about the priority of it. And that's kind of where I am with that, because she talks about, and I think it's interesting to go back to, or not to go back to, but to continue the thought of doing a competitive analysis, looking at what other people are doing in the market, looking at X, Y, and Z. Like, I think sometimes it's kind of like, I compare it to ChatGPT, right? Sometimes you start a prompt with an idea and then you're like, hey, chat, expand on this. And it can help you kind of refine and narrow your ideation that way. And then sometimes you're like, I don't really know, what are some good topics? And then ChatGPT will give you a bunch. And then you're like, okay, one of these, I like this one. This one sounds the most interesting. When I look at competitors, quote unquote, other people on YouTube, other people who are creating videos, maybe there are people who I love. Maybe there are people who I genuinely love their content and I want to emulate that. There's a part of me that feels like this is stripping me from this, because immediately I'm comparing myself to them. Immediately, I'm thinking, well, what do I want to share? And then I don't feel like it like even some of the artists that I love the most, like I think of Heinz all the time because I love his content. I love his work, and I love like what his messages, the energy that he brings. I love so much of it. And if I were to sit here and compare myself to him, it's not fair. It's not fair to me and it's not fair to him, because even though we have the essence of similarity, as we all do, we have the same essence within us, the expression is different. I have a different expression, and therefore it's not going to resonate. I resonate with his work, but it's not going to resonate as if it were coming from me, because it's a totally different experience. And so when we start with this air of competition and comparing ourselves to other people from the get for inspiration, I think it ends up kind of killing the plant before it even sprouts. Like, it's killing that seed before it even has the chance to grow roots. And she even expresses that, she says, until we know better, we call many we call a great many creative swans ugly ducklings. This is an indignity we offer our brain children as they rear their heads in our consciousness. We judge them like beauty pageant contestants. In a glance, we may cut them down. We forget that not all babies are born beautiful, and so we abort the lives of awkward or unseemly projects that might be our finest work, our best creative ugly ducklings. An act of art needs time to mature. Judged early, it may be judged incorrectly. Man, I mean, that's an underscore around a lot of concepts that she talks about in prior chapters. The power of the blocked teacher who is blocking your creative work before you are even have even grown more as an artist. You know, in the prior chapters when she talks about how as blocked artists, we're like, I have to create like Scorsese level work, and yet it's like, start with your first short video, queen. Like, there's just a lot of, I don't know, disgrace in the process of, literally, I like that she compares it to a child, because would you look at a baby and be like, girl, you ugly? You ugly as hell. Like, you are so ugly. Like, you would never, oh my God. And if you are, babe, reflect a little. Like, that is a baby. That is a sweet, innocent soul. Like, I mean, it's like looking a child in the face and say, you're nothing. What a bad baby. Ugh. Throw this one out, get me another one. What? So, yeah, I like the comparison of it to a baby, because it is your artist child. It's your artist child. Like, and each pieces or each bits of this creativity is, like she says, bits of creation that are seeking to be born. Yeah. Really good stuff. Really great chapter. I'm almost done. Only like 2 more weeks left. I am going to do 3 videos though, because I want to do like a wrap-up video. But let's go for next week. Week 11 is about recovering a sense of autonomy. This week we focus on our artistic autonomy. We examine the ongoing ways in which we must nurture and accept ourselves as artists. We explore the behaviors that can strengthen our spiritual base and therefore our creative power. We take a special look at the ways in which success must be handled in order that we not sabotage our freedom. Wow. Okay. I kind of got excited and was skimming through, and I found a big glossary, or I don't know if glossary is the right word, but a resource at the end where she gives a bunch of different books to read. So, you know, I already added all these onto my Amazon wish list, because I feel like, what am I going to do after this? I have to find another book. So who knows? Maybe I'll do another series on that. Probably not. All right. Thank you for listening if you made it this far, and I hope you're enjoying some of the things that I have to say. I hope you have a great day. Bye.